The snow had started again, light, slow, and silent. As Officer Mara Quinn trudged to the wideout, her K-9 Titan panting beside her. 20 minutes ago, a boy had vanished from the edge of town. Witnesses said he wasn't crying. He wasn't running. He was whispering to a dog no one recognized, barefoot in the storm. Titan caught the scent, ears twitching. Then he bolted. When he came back, he wasn't alone. Clamped in his mouth, a strip of torn flannel, a name scrawled in blood. Mara's blood ran cold because she knew that name, and that boy had been buried 5 years ago. The storm came in sideways, lashing the windshield with 1,000 ice needles per second. Officer Mara Quinn flicked on the wipers, but they were losing the battle fast. The wideout swallowed the road in front of her, erased the pine woods to her left, and blurred the signs she passed every day. Welcome to Hollows Bend, Pop 2991. Titan, her K-9 partner, sat stiff beside her, ears cocked, body tense. His black fur was flecked with bits of melting snow. He hadn't stopped whining since dispatch put out the call, missing juvenile. Approximate age, 7, last seen heading into the East Hollow woods. No jacket, no shoes. Mara pressed harder on the gas. Snow crunched beneath her tires. "Why now?" she muttered, eyes flicking to the GPS. Why the hell now? It had been quiet for nearly a year. A dull, aching quiet that followed every storm in this town. But the moment the first flake fell this morning, her chest had gone tight. Titan had started pacing. And then the call came. The boy was talking to a dog, the 911 caller had said. He was whispering to it, like he knew it, like he was asking for something. Now here she was, crawling her cruiser down a dirt road behind the shuttered mill, Titan growling low. "Titan," she said softly, hand brushing the back of his neck. Track. The dog leapt from the cruiser the moment the door cracked. Nose to the snow, cutting left into the trees without hesitation. Mara followed, her boots punching through the ice crust. Every step was a memory she didn't want. This was where they found the Carter girl, where Sean Brody crashed his four-wheeler drunk and frozen, where her brother James disappeared 5 winters ago. The same woods, always the snow. The trail was erratic. Tight circles, scattered prints, signs of dragging. Titan led her to a small clearing ringed by birches, their pale bark peeling like skin. In the center, a shape slumped against a stump. She raised her light. A dog, a mutt, husky mix maybe, curled protectively around a boy. The boy's lips were blue, but he was whispering, close and urgent, into the dog's ear. Mara's breath caught. "Hey," she called gently. "It's okay. I'm with the police." The boy looked up. For a moment, she forgot how to move. His eyes, wide, pale gray, were too familiar. His face. Titan growled behind her, a low, uncertain sound. She took a step forward. "What's your name, sweetheart?" The boy didn't answer. He placed his hand on the mutt's chest and whispered something else. The strange dog stood, licked the boy's face once, and then bolted into the trees. Titan barked and chased after it. "Titan!" Mara shouted, torn between them. But the boy's lips were turning purple. She couldn't wait. She threw her coat over him, pulled out her radio. "Dispatch, I have eyes on the child. Male, approximately 7, possibly hypothermic. Requesting immediate med evac to Hollow Bend General. Coordinates transmitting now. Copy, Officer Quinn. Ambulance en route. ETA 9 minutes. She knelt in the snow beside him. His hands trembled. Fingers curled around a strip of cloth. "Hey, it's okay now," she said, brushing wet hair from his forehead. "Can you tell me your name?" He blinked up at her, voice like a ghost. "They buried me under the tree, but I woke up." Mara's heart kicked sideways. What tree?" But the boy didn't answer. His eyelids fluttered, and then he passed out. By the time the paramedics reached her, Mara's boots were frozen solid to the ground. They lifted the boy into the back of the ambulance. She followed close, watching his pulse flicker weakly on the monitor. She clutched the strip of cloth he'd been holding. Flannel, torn, a child's name stitched at the bottom in faint embroidery. James Quinn, her brother, dead 5 years. Presumed frozen after disappearing during a snowstorm on this exact trail. Only thing they'd ever found was his red flannel jacket, ripped, with a boot print on it and a smear of blood. She didn't speak for the entire ride back. Back at the station, she stood in the hallway outside the evidence locker, cloth still clutched in her gloved hand. Snow was still melting in her hair. Her supervisor, Lieutenant Dana Croft, stepped up behind her, brow furrowed. "You okay?" "No," Mara said. "Not even a little." Croft leaned on the wall, watching her. "Hospital ran his prints," she said finally. "The boy. No match. No missing persons report that fits. No birth certificate." "Of course not," Mara whispered. "You thinking what I'm thinking? That somehow a dead boy gave me a message through a dog he should know?" Croft sighed. "Quinn, it's been a long shift. Maybe—" "I want to see the jacket again," she interrupted. "My brother's." Croft hesitated. "We close that file. Open it." There was no arguing when Mara had that look. They pulled the evidence box. Inside, water-damaged photos, a broken toy car, and the torn red flannel jacket, stained at the collar with dried blood. Mara froze. The tear pattern. The missing corner. She held it up, compared the strip from the boy's hand. It was a perfect fit. She stared at the jagged edge, the soaked name. Her breath fogged in the room. "This doesn't make sense," Croft muttered, unease flickering in her voice. "He knew where to find this," Mara said. "He knew my name. And that mutt, he didn't come back." Croft looked up sharply. "Titan?" "No, not Titan. The other one. The one he was whispering to." Croft stared at her. "Are you saying the boy sent that dog a message?" Mara looked down at the cloth. "Yes." Croft rubbed her temples. "Jesus." "And now Titan's still out there," Mara said, grabbing her coat again. "You're not going back out there." "I have to." Croft hesitated. "You go alone and I write you up." Mara didn't even flinch. "Fine." The woods were darker this time. Storm nearly over. Just wind now, sighing through the pines like breath through teeth. She stood where the boy had been. Snow smooth over everything except for a single trail. Paw prints. Titan's. Following the same track as the strange dog, she followed them. Her flashlight bobbed. Her breath echoed in the silence. Then crack. A twig behind her. She spun, light catching branches. Nothing. Then another sound. A bark. Faint, but unmistakable. She ran. The prints led to a twisted pine near the creek. Its roots curled upward like claws. Titan stood at the base, barking at the exposed earth. Mara's light swept the ground and caught it. A wooden marker. Half buried. Carved with shaky hands. JQ. She fell to her knees. The dirt was freshly turned. Titan stopped barking. Saturday. Something glinted beside the marker. A small toy car, bent axle, red paint chipped. She picked it up. Her brother's. She was shaking. Then she heard it again. A whisper. Not words, but close. She turned, and the strange dog stood there again. Mutt coat, snow-crusted ears, black eyes locked on her. Then it turned and disappeared into the woods again. Titan rose, looked at her, then followed. Mara's limbs moved on instinct. They reached a clearing. Another wooden marker. This one newer. Name carved deep. Ben Carter. She stopped breathing. The Carter boy. Missing 2 years. Assumed dead. There was no grave reported. No marker. But here it was. The dog circled it once, then barked and stopped. Titan whined beside her. Then another whisper. Closer. She whipped around. The boy. The same boy from the woods. Standing in the tree line. Smiling. Then gone. Mara drove back with Titan in the passenger seat, both of them soaked in silence. Snow slid in sheets off the cruiser's roof as the heater hummed uselessly. Her hands clenched the steering wheel tight. Her eyes kept flicking to the rear view, half expecting that boy to appear again in the mirror. The boy who vanished. The boy who somehow knew her brother's name. Who knew where the unmarked graves were buried. who smiled like he remembered her. Her breath hitched. She hadn't felt this kind of dread in 5 years, since the night James disappeared. She parked behind the hospital in the staff lot and walked inside like a woman moving underwater. A nurse at the front desk gave her a wary glance, but didn't stop her. She took the elevator to pediatrics. The boy was in a private room, for in his arm, wires snaking under his hospital gown. Still unconscious, pulse steady, lips a little pinker now. A nurse adjusted his blanket and left quietly. Mara stepped inside, shut the door. She sat beside him, studying the raw red windburn on his cheeks, the tiny scratches on his hands. Her eyes drifted to the flannel scrap on the bedside table, torn from James's jacket. The stitching hadn't changed. "How do you know him?" she whispered. The boy twitched. His fingers closed, as if gripping something invisible. Then his mouth moved. Not a word. A whisper. She leaned in closer and caught a fragment. Under the sycamore. Mara's stomach flipped. She knew that tree. Everyone in Hollow's Bend did. There was only one sycamore that large, bent sideways from a storm, roots half upturned like a broken rib cage. Kids used to dare each other to climb it. The same tree where legend said the Brody family used to bury their dogs in the 1940s. She shot to her feet, heart pounding. She arrived at the sycamore just before dusk. The snow had thinned but left the woods soaked, branches sagging, earth slick. Titan stuck close, nose down, more wary than before. Mara swept her flashlight in slow arcs as the tree came into view. Its massive trunk twisted like it had tried to escape the ground. And there at its base was a patch of disturbed soil. Not fresh, but not old, either. Mara fell to her knees, pulled off her gloves, and started to dig with her bare hands. Titan whined behind her, then growled. She paused, looked up. Nothing but woods. Still, her heart dropped. The ground gave suddenly beneath her hands with a sickening thump. She pulled back, exposed something gray. Plastic. She clawed at the rest, dirt flying, breath hard, and then froze. A small backpack. She unzipped it with trembling hands. Inside, a pair of children's shoes. A school ID badge, Benjamin Carter, grade 3, Hollow's Bend Elementary, and a spiral notebook, soaked through but still intact. The pages were filled with messy scrawl. Desperate, panicked, one phrase repeated over and over again. He said to follow the dog. He said, don't tell. He said we'd wake up after. Mara sat back against the tree, knees pulled to her chest, the notebook in her lap. The wind whispered through the branches above, like a voice trying to remember its own name. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She hesitated, then answered. Quinn. Nothing. Just breathing. Who is this? A click. Then static. Then a voice. You should have let him sleep. She shot to her feet. Who are you? The line went dead. No signal. Titan barked sharply, teeth bared. His body pointed toward the woods again. She didn't hesitate. Go. He charged ahead, growling low. They reached a clearing she didn't recognize, deeper into the woods than she'd ever gone. The light had nearly faded, and the shadows had teeth. A rusted fence ran in jagged pieces around a collapsed shack. Titan stood rigid. Then she saw it. The mutt. The same strange dog the boy had been whispering to. It stood in the doorway of the shack, waiting, then turned inside. Mara followed. Inside, the stench of rot hit her instantly. Mold, old fur, something long dead. The shack's floor sagged in the middle, and tarps hung from the ceiling, stiff with age. A battered metal cage sat in one corner. She stepped forward, covering her nose. Titan barked again, this time at a wall. Not the cage. The wall. She approached. The wood looked newer there. Reinforced. She pressed a hand against it. Hollow. Her fingers found a seam. A small latch. She hesitated, then opened it. A hidden door. Behind it, stairs. Leading down. She drew her gun, clicked on her flashlight, and descended. The cellar was narrow and foul, the walls crawling with mildew. Her boots slipped once on the steps, and she caught herself with a hiss. Titan stayed at her side, ears pinned back, tail stiff. At the bottom, the floor opened into a larger room. Cold concrete and something worse. Beds. 6 of them. Metal frame child-sized, each with restraints bolted to the sides. Mara froze. Every instinct in her screamed to back out, but her light swept left and caught movement. A shadow in the corner. No, not a shadow. A figure. Thin. Still. Face covered by a cloth bag. Tied at the neck. Mara surged forward and yanked it off. A girl. Pale. Eyes open but unfocused. Alive but sedated. Titan barked once, sharp and urgent. Footsteps above. The door slammed shut. She turned fast, hard in her throat. The stairs. Someone had sealed the trapdoor. She ran up, slammed her fist into the underside of the wood. Hey! No answer. She pounded harder. Titan clawed at the edge, barking wildly. Then she heard it again. A voice. From a vent in the corner of the room. You should have stayed buried, Quinn. Her breath locked in her throat. Some things in hollows bend, are meant to stay forgotten. She backed away from the stairs, gun raised, flashlight sweeping. Another whisper came, from everywhere. The boy woke them up. The boy never dies. The dog brings him back. Again, and again. Titan lunged toward the wall, snarling. Then suddenly, crack. The floor shuddered. A section of the ceiling above broke inward, and the strange dog dropped through. It growled once, eyes locked with Titan's, then turned to the corner, and barked at the vent. Hard. Again, and again. Mara stepped forward, then saw it. A fuse box, just beside the vent. She yanked it open. A lever. She pulled it. Click. The trapdoor groaned open upstairs. She ran up the stairs, through the shack, into the clearing. The cold hit her like a slap. She doubled over. Behind her, the strange dog emerged again, then bolted. Into the trees. Gone. Titan stayed at her side. Mara dialed her radio, voice shaking. Dispatch. I have a hostage situation. Possibly connected to multiple missing children cases. Need backup and med evac to the shack off East Trail. Coordinates incoming now. Copy, Quinn. Units en route. ETA 12 minutes. She slumped against a tree, chest heaving. The whispers were gone, but the message stayed. The boy never dies. She looked down at Titan. He whined, then pawed at her coat. Her brother's flannel scrap was still there, and it was warm. Back at the hospital, the boy was gone. Room empty. No record of discharge. The nurse swore she had just walked in to check vitals. And the bed was cold. Security footage corrupted. Last image on the screen, a dog walking out the hospital's back doors. Alone. Mara sat in the station locker room. Wet flannel pressed to her forehead. She'd given her full report, every unexplainable second of it, and still no one had asked the one question clawing at her. Wire. The boy whispered to a dog. The dog came to her, carrying her brother's jacket. A boy vanished from a hospital under full surveillance, as if he had never been real. No fingerprints, no birth certificate, no name. But now she knew the truth. He'd been there before, and he would come again. A knock on the locker room door pulled her out of haze. Lieutenant Croft leaned in. We found something. Mara rose slowly. Where? The Carter house. In the woodshed. There's something you need to see. The Carter property sat half collapsed under the weight of snow and silence. Mara had walked this land years ago during the first disappearance. No one had been home then. No one lived there now. The parents moved away after Ben vanished. Too much grief or guilt. She stepped into the woodshed, flashlight low. Croft stood beside a rusted oil drum, arms crossed tight. Check this out, she said. Inside the drum, dozens of scraps of paper, most burnt. Ashes, black in corners, but some intact. Mara pulled one out carefully. It was a child's drawing. Crayon. A stick figure standing next to a large dog. A smiling boy with gray eyes. Another sheet. Same boy, same dog. This time standing beside 6 excess lined up in the ground like graves. A third. A house burning. A family inside. The dog outside, watching. Mara swallowed. Croft met her eyes. These go back years. Different kids. Same dog. Same boy. Some kind of ghost story? Croft offered, but it was thin. Her voice lacked conviction. Mara shook her head. This isn't just a story. Then Titan barked outside. Short, urgent. Mara and Croft bolted out the shed and saw him standing on the edge of the tree line. Not Titan, the dog, the one from the shack. Mara stepped forward, heart thudding. He didn't run. He sat, then turned his head. Mara followed his gaze. A narrow trail she didn't remember. Croft touched her arm. You're not seriously. I have to. Mara, he could be leading you into a trap. Or to the truth. Croft exhaled. I'm calling for backup. Mara nodded. Then follow if you can. And she followed the dog. The trail led to a ravine behind the abandoned quarry. Snow soaked through Mara's boots, numbness crawling up her legs. The dog moved slow, purposeful, then stopped, and sat at the edge of a frozen pond. A figure stood on the ice, barefoot, wearing the same flannel jacket she buried 5 years ago. James. Older now, older than he ever got to be, eyes like hers. He looked up as she approached, smiled. Hey, Mare. Her knees buckled. She dropped to the snow. You're dead. He tilted his head. I buried you. I know. You were just a kid, she whispered. I still am. Sometimes. He looked down at the dog, reached and scratched behind its ears. He's been with me since the night it happened. What is he? James smiled faintly. He finds the ones who get lost, brings them back. But not everyone stays back. I don't understand. You do. His face turned solemn. The others, the ones he's shown you, they're caught, like me, between. Her hands were trembling now. You're saying this dog, he's what? Some spirit's pet. James chuckled. He's older than that, older than anything. Mara stared at him. I can't stay long, he said softly. I want to take you home, she said, voice cracking. I am home, he said, but I had to send a message. The flannel? He nodded. You needed to remember. Remember what? James knelt on the ice, pressing a hand to the surface. And suddenly, it wasn't ice anymore. Not to her. She saw them. All of them. Children, standing under trees, hiding in cellars, trapped in a loop they didn't ask for, each holding a piece of the past. Some whispering to dogs, some simply waiting. And then she saw her own face. Not now. Younger. Crying. In the woods. Whispering, too. Whispering to a dog. James, she said, cold draining from her blood. I never wandered off, he said. You sent me. No. You told me to run. You told me not to tell. You said it was a game. Tears streamed down her cheeks. No, that's not true. He looked at her gently. But it is, and you forgot. Until now. The memory surged forward like a punch. Winter, a fight at home, their father drunk, a bruised lip, her whispering. Run, Jamie. Take the dog. Hide. I'll come find you. But she never did. She forgot. She buried it. Until now. I didn't mean, she choked. I know, he said. And then the boy from the hospital stepped out beside James. Still 7. Still smiling. He held a paper in his hand. Offered it to her. Mara took it. A simple drawing. A woman. And a child standing in front of a pine tree. The child holding a dog's leash. Written in shaky pencil. She let me go, so I could help the others. Mara fell to her knees. The snow swirled hard again. When she looked up, they were gone. The boy, James, the dog. Only Titan remained, standing beside her, and at her feet the flannel scrap. This time with both names embroidered. James Quinn, Mara Quinn, 6 months later. Hollows Bend, early summer. The snow never quite melted that spring, but the ground eventually thawed. They found the graves, 7 in total. one under each marked tree. Ben Carter, Elise Madsen, Noah H., all listed missing, all finally found. The case was declared closed on paper, but off record. Mara had her own file, filled with drawings, scraps, patterns no one could explain. She transferred out of uniform patrol to work cold cases full-time. Titan stayed at her side, and every few weeks they'd return to the woods, just in case. One quiet July evening, Mara sat on her porch sipping cold coffee, watching the wind bend the tall grass. Titan lifted his head suddenly, ears forward. Mara followed his gaze and froze. At the edge of the tree line stood the dog, the mutt, looking straight at her, and beside him, a girl, maybe 8, hair matted, holding a bundle in her arms. She didn't say anything. She just stared, then slowly raised the bundle, unwrapped it. Inside, a torn scrap of flannel, a new name stitched beneath. Claire. Mara stood, heart pounding. Titan was already moving. She didn't hesitate. She followed, into the trees, into the whispering hush. And for the first time in years, she wasn't afraid.